Hey guys, it's Alex, and today I'm here with an unhaul. I've been awake all night. It is like 9 a.m. I'm very, very tired, so if I look like I'm high, I'm not. I'm just really tired. I didn't have a video planned for today. This is actually one of the very few times that I post a video right after filming it, and I don't even know that I will edit this because, like I said, I'm very tired. Today I'm doing an unhaul. Mostly because I had a bunch of books for an unhaul that I've been saving for whenever I was too lazy to put out well thought out content, because unhauls are very easy and don't require much thought, and that has come very soon. That is today. So let's get into this lovely unhaul. First, I'm going to start with 3 thrillers that I read this month. I haven't talked about them much on my channel outside of like vlogs maybe, so I will talk about them soon enough. I'm doing reviews for all of them, but I gave them all like between 1 and 3 stars because that's usually what I give thrillers. And I didn't really like them, and I've been trying to keep fewer books, like to stop keeping books just for the sake of keeping them, and to keep books that I actually enjoy and want to own. So the first is Cold Cold Heart by Tammy Hogue. This was a fairly generic thriller. It was just one of those thrillers that you read and it's just like, I've read this thriller before, basically. Like, this doesn't do anything new or different or better that hasn't already been done 100 times. I gave it 3 stars because I was like, it's fine, but yeah, I don't need to keep this. I'm never going to read this again, and I will probably unhaul it and forget about it completely. And then I have one that I liked slightly less, which is The Wicked Girls by Alex Marwood. This I gave 2 stars and actually had a lot of issues with. I didn't like a lot of aspects of this book, and it felt incredibly long for a book that was only about 250 pages, I think. But yeah, I gave this 2 stars, and it's like, this I don't need to own. I'm actually bitter that I paid like $3 for this book, or like $3.25, because like that's a fair amount for me when I buy a book, and it looked really interesting, and it just fell flat in every way. Like, it was trying to be a good thriller and focus on like the story and not the big plot twist at the end, but the problem is, when you are a thriller that's like the thrills come from the story and not the cheap plot twist, the story has to be really good. And the story in this book was not really good. It needed to end faster than it did, and it was boring, and I don't know. I'm getting rid of this because I don't want to read it again or think about it. And then the final thriller that I liked the least of all of these and gave 1 star was Black Seconds by Karen Fossum. This is a translated book. It was translated from Norwegian, I believe. Yes, Norwegian. And it was awful. I didn't like the writing style, and I feel bad saying that because, like, I can never tell how much, obviously, without reading the original text, I can't tell how much of what I don't like comes from Karen Fossum's writing or comes from the translation, which makes me feel bad because I don't know, like, what actually to critique in that regard. But wherever it came from, I didn't like it. And it was so predictable. Like, I've never predicted a thriller so early. Like, some thrillers, they're not about the plot twist. They're not about the ending. Like, you predict it early, but that's fine because it's part of the story. But, like, with this, 6 pages in, I knew how it was going to end. By 24 pages in, I knew pretty much all the plot twists within the story. And then, I don't know, that was it. Like, there were no interesting characters. Like, I forgot I was reading this while I was reading it. And, like, I don't know. It makes me irritated that I own it, and hopefully I can sell it to a used bookstore for like 25 cents and put that towards getting a book that I like. These are just being thrown on the floor. I also have Killing Brittany by Sean Olin. I actually really like the cover for this book, which is why I haven't unhauled it prior to now. I remember nothing about this book. I've read it twice, I think. And yeah, nothing about it stays. It's like some YA thriller, I think, about a girl named Brittany and people around her keep dying. There's like a question of like, who's killing people around Brittany? Maybe that's what the back says, but I don't actually know what the story's about. And I'm never going to reread it again. I don't care about it. I like the cover. I think the cover is like really pretty. I love the like monochrome grayscale of the cover with like the little bits of red from like lipstick or bloodstains or whatever. I don't know, but I like it. Not enough to keep it. It's like, at that point, it's just like a waste of space. Like, I've been looking at most of these books, apart from the first 3 thrillers. I was looking at these books on my shelf thinking, if I was to move, what books would I not bother taking with me? Like, not getting rid of books that I kind of want, but don't have room for if I moved, but just like in the hypothetical scenario, if I had to move my books from one building to another building, even if it was just like 10 minutes away, what would I not take with me? What would I just be too lazy to take and start unhauling them? And this was one of those. Then I have 3 books in a trilogy, and that is Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials. All 3 books, I'm not going to go through them, but essentially, I don't really like these covers. They look fine, but they're mass market paperbacks and they're metallic, and I don't really like the metallic. I picked these up at Goodwill a while ago just because they had all 3 of them, and I was like, I really want to own them, and I don't own them. But since then, I found really nice covers for them, and I have the first 2 in those nice covers, and I'm looking for the 3rd, but I also have an omnibus that I found for my last haul that I got for free. So I really don't need to own these, so I'm just gonna unhaul them, and hopefully someone who's like looking for a nice set of them will like these covers more than I did, or not care that they're like weirdly metallic and shiny. And then I have Random Middle Grade Book, When the Water Closes Over My Head by Donna Jo Napoli. I think I liked this okay when I was a kid, but it's one of those middle grade books that doesn't stand out to me as an adult. Like, some middle grade books I still really love and still have like a lot of emotional depth and really wonderful stories. And this was just one of those like kind of fun, kind of silly ones that I don't really need to own, but maybe some kid will enjoy. And then I have an Animorphs book, The Encounter by K.A. Applegate. I liked the Animorphs when I was a kid. I read a bunch of them, and I was like, as an adult, I found this in a thrift store, and I was like, ooh, that's fun, I should get an Animorphs book. And now, having it, I'm like, if I'm not going to collect the whole series, I don't really care to own it. I mean, well, I still kind of like owning it, but I just don't like care about owning it if I'm not going to collect the whole series. And I'm not going to collect the whole series. It's just like, maybe this ought to stay, like, in my childhood. So, yeah, I'm just going to, like, ditch this, and if I want to read Animorphs, I'll get them from the library. Then I have The Deadly Sister by Elliot Schweffer. Weird name. I got this from a book fair like years ago, and I read it, and there was a line that stuck out to me, and I was like, that line sounds really familiar. And I read the whole book, and I was like, nothing about this book feels familiar, but that one line I've read before, and it was something about like their grandmother always used their names when she spoke to them. Like, she would always address them by their first names and use them. And it was like a soap opera. And I was like, I remember that description. And I looked, and sure enough, I'd read this book when I was like in middle school or high school. And I literally reread the whole thing without realizing it, except for that one line. Like, I wouldn't have known if I hadn't remembered that one odd line. And yeah, it was fine. Like, there was nothing wrong with this book. It's a YA thriller, and I find that I don't really do too well with YA thrillers. For whatever reason, I've never found one that I actually enjoyed. So, I don't know. I will hopefully sell this and get some money for it, and if not, hopefully someone will just find it for free somewhere, because, I don't know. I don't think it was a bad book. It was just one of those books that meant literally nothing to me. And then I have The Mysterious Benedict Society and the Perilous Journey by Trenton Lee Stewart. I don't know. I'm still like torn on whether or not I want to get rid of this book, because I'm like, on the one hand, I haven't read it, and I usually keep all the books that I haven't read, at least like until I read them. Like, even if I'm not like super fond and it's like, I don't know if that's gonna be a book I like, I usually just keep everything that's unread. But I didn't buy myself this book. I've had this book probably since middle school, and it's in literally pristine condition. Well, no, the pages are bent. That's a lie. But, like, it's really nice because I've never opened it, I've never looked at it, and I've never been like, oh, I want to read that. But it doesn't sound bad. It just sounds like something that I have no interest in, and it's, like, not a small book. And I don't know. Like, it's been 10 years, at least, since I've had this book. Probably my father gave it to me. He probably got it for free from his newspaper and was just like, here, child, have this book. And I don't need to own it. I don't need to have a book that I've never read and probably won't read, so I don't know. I'm just like, I'm biting the bullet and getting rid of it, and hopefully I'll just forget that I ever owned it and stop feeling bad. But I don't know. These are like popular, I think. So like, hopefully someone will enjoy it. And then I have Loose Girl, A Memoir of Promiscuity by Carrie Cohen. I kind of like books that discuss, like, I don't know how to say this, not like being a slut, That's the wrong word. But like discuss sexuality in terms of women and like libido and having sex and like discuss that critically like within society. I really like that. I thought this book was going to be that, but it wasn't at all. This is an ARC, so I can't sell it, sadly, which is annoying, but I'll dump it in a little free library somewhere. But basically, what I remember from this book was it was really cringy, and it didn't feel like she was telling the truth. Like, there were times where her math didn't add up, or like the guy she was talking about didn't make sense, and like the chronology she was discussing, or like it felt like she contradicted herself. Like, not in a literal sense, but in a sense where like this story doesn't fully make sense. And it felt like I was being lied to. And I don't know if she was, like, you know, it's hard to tell, like, it could just be the way she was writing the story wasn't that great, but I didn't just buy it the way, normally with memoirs, I go in just like, I'm going to accept this as true. I'm not going to question it too hard unless it's like, it feels obviously wrong. And this just kind of felt iffy to me. So, I don't know. And then there was a lot of, like, cringy bits in this. Well, I don't know how cringy they were, because, like, it's been years since I read this book. But I do remember there being bits of, like, well, if I had sex like this as a guy, it'd be normal. But, like, because I'm a girl, it makes me feel bad. And it was a lot like that. And it's like, no, pass, that's not how it works. Like, if you're gonna say that in, like, a critical term of society, like, society accepts men who have a lot of sex, but, like, shames women who have a lot of sex, that was one thing. But she always took it on that very personal level of, like, this would be good for a man. This would be good for a man, but because I'm a girl, it's bad. And I don't want to say that like confidently, but I did flip through this book and saw like a couple of instances of things that seemed like that, and that was what I remember. So that's what I'm going with. I'm never going to reread it, and I don't know. I'm bitter that I can't sell it, but I don't know. I don't need it anymore, and it didn't make me happy the first time I read it, so it goes away. And then I have one of my favorite books, which is The Truth About Forever by Sarah Dessen. This is my favorite Sarah Dessen book. It's so sweet. It's so cute. I just really love this book. It was just like, it's the perfect YA romance contemporary. It's so fluffy. It's so sweet. I love all the characters. I love the romance. It makes me happy. But I have a copy that I like better. This is like weirdly shiny, and it like has that shiny feel. Like, I know shiny is not a texture, but like it feels weird. Like, it doesn't have like a matte cover, it has like a shiny cover, and I like the matte cover better, and I actually have one that I like better on my shelf that has a better cover, so this goes away. Hopefully I can sell it for like a few cents and put it towards the book I need. And I'm almost done. I have Help Me, I'm Sad, which is not a self-help book, it's a parenting book about like what you're supposed to do if your child has depression, which I stole from my parents when I was in like middle school, even though this is about like children, not like pubescent teens or preteens. No one needs this book anymore in our house. There are no children. I don't remember getting anything out of it, but I was also like 14 reading this, trying to figure out what the enemy was thinking. That was the child I was. But yeah, my parents no longer have to deal with a depressed child. They have to deal with a depressed adult. So this doesn't help anyone. And finally, the last book on this list is Ender's War by Orson Scott Card. I was confused when I picked this book up. I originally thought it was the sequel, or at least another in the Ender's Game series, but it's not. This is like this really old bind-up of the first two novels in the Ender's Game series. Like, it's got Ender's Game, and then it's got, I don't know what it's called, the second one that's like set in a different time period. It's like set either before or after, about like different characters, and like I have no desire to read that. If I really, really want to continue on with the Ender's Game series, which I probably won't, I'm probably going to read that one and be like, oh, okay, that was fine. That was enough Orson Scott Card, because he's trash. But, I don't know, I picked this up because I just thought it was the sequel, and it wasn't, and I was like, whatever. I'm not going to deal with this, but it's kind of cool because it's old, but it's also like, I don't want to keep something because it's like, ooh, this is a cool old book, when it has a super trash author. And it's not that old, like Orson Scott Card is still alive, so I don't know. It's going away. I don't think I can sell this one just on the basis of how old it is, but I don't know. I don't need to keep it anymore. It's one of those that's just taking up space on my shelf. So, this has been a very rambly video. This has been very low-key. I don't know that I'll edit this at all because I've just kind of been going. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me today. I'm like super out of it. My head feels really weird. I'm really tired. Like, this is about the time I went to sleep yesterday because my sleeping schedule is just wrong. But this video is going up on time, and that is all that matters in the end. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down below if you're horrified that I'm getting rid of any of these books. Feel free to let me know. I really don't care. Of course, your guys' opinions matter so dearly, but at the same time, I really don't care. I'm not going to be getting rid of these anytime soon, though. It's probably not going to be until April just because I'm keeping the 3 thrillers that I read this month so I can use them in my wrap-up. And then after that, I'm going to do a big trip to Second and Charles, probably, or just dump them at a used bookstore. So, as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all again soon.